Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today's Lunch and Learn webinar. First, Adraft would like to wish everyone a very happy 2018. We know that your time is valuable and that the weather in upstate New York in January isn't always predictable, so we decided to do things a little different this time around. We hope that you like our new Lunch and Learn webinar. First of all, just bear with us. This is our first time around to do something like this. Just a heads up, we have been having some issues with GoToWebinar and some internet downtime. So if we have any technical difficulties during the hour that we are going to be here, it will only be down a minute or two, or just a little bit. We hope that this isn't the case, and we are sorry in advance for any issues that we have. You are currently in listen-only mode. If you have any questions or comments during the call, please use the dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen. We will have time at the end of each presentation to go over any questions that are asked. If we don't get to all the questions in the time that we have here today, or if you have any questions after the call, you can always email me at info@adraft.com and I'll get you the answer back as soon as possible. During this webinar, we have a couple different topics that we're going to be discussing. First, Matt Cole will start us off with a quick overview of what's new with Autodesk accounts. Then Mike Space will go over the new collaboration tool for Autodesk Vault. Then we'll end our demonstration with an electrical-mechanical handshake that Autodesk has between the AutoCAD Electrical and AutoCAD Inventor. Recently, Adraft has had a lot of interest in this topic, and we have created a workshop expanding on this topic. If you like any more information on this workshop, let us know. And if you need any more information on any of the other Autodesk products, please contact me at info@adraft.com. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be up on our website by the end of the day. First, I would like to introduce Matt Cole with an Autodesk account overview. I will now hand it over to Matt.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm actually not doing an overview of Autodesk account. I'm reviewing some questions and issues that have come up and we've kind of seen come up a little bit more often. If you don't know me, I'm Matt Cole, project manager here at Adraft. And when Autodesk account came out, I was kind of the point person in terms of figuring out, making sure I shared how it worked with clients who needed to use it for the first few times. And it's about 2 years old now. And what we're seeing is some consistency in some of the issues that are coming up. So my agenda is essentially built around the top few issues there: login access, managing users, missing software in your Autodesk account, physical media requests, and some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to give a real quick overview of some of the information, but we realized that this topic, we actually included it because some of the comments that we've gotten back are kind of born of frustration, and we understand that, so we're trying to give some quick answers to some of that. We're in the middle of one right now in terms of getting access to software. Our technical support logs have kind of shown us some of these topics, and we're able to kind of track how many, and that's where this list comes from. You should also know that, we'll help as much as we can, but Adraft does not affect any change within Autodesk account. That's all Autodesk. We do know how to use it. We can help you learn how to use it. We can fix some things around your assets and software. We can also create cases with Autodesk to come reach a solution for you. But it's a little frustrating on our side too, because we hear these problems and we don't see, we don't have a way to directly make changes in there. So real quick, the first one was login and access. This one comes up more and more. It was more so when Subscription Center was still around and we're moving over. But if the URL is accounts.autodesk.com, you can create an account there. You don't have to have software to create an account. Autodesk will allow you to create one, and it'll be up to some of the other users, which we'll talk about in a minute, to give you access to the software. But that URL is where you start. So in terms of managing users, it's important that with the new subscriptions, particularly the single user subscription seats, they have to be a named user. And that's created a real connection that you have to have between the user and Autodesk account and the manager of the software. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the real important thing, and one thing that keeps coming up, is setting up users, setting them up correctly, and getting them into the system so that the user can actually have access to the software. So I talked before about some of the different users. Let's start over on the right, and that's the named user. That's the one using the software. And this, in terms of the single user subscription seat, this is the one who needs to get tied through Autodesk account to the software. Moving to the center there, the software coordinator can manage the software and has access that's provided by the contract manager for each contract within a company. So say in a large company, you could have multiple software coordinators who manage the named users and who manage by contract software and provide access. The contract manager, is the overall admin, and they are the person who is responsible for the purchase of the software. They're kind of the point person. They can assign software coordinators or not. They help all administrative capabilities. So when you're dealing with issues with Autodesk account, my point in showing you this is that the software coordinator and the contract manager really are the ones who give permission and access to the software. So now, where to add users? This comes up often, and I have to admit that our version of account looks a little bit different at times than clients. So, but to find the users, I've highlighted in blue, and to add users, you'd hit this button that's outlined in blue, and you get this dialog box where it's important that you have the email, the first name, and the last name all correct for each user. If you have a lot of users, there's a bulk add option, and the same information is needed: the email, the first name, and the last name. You load it up here, and then they all get put into the system. So one of the things that comes up is that, when we have clients getting into Autodesk account, they see, or they don't agree with what software they see in there that they should have access to. So the first point is those permissions we just talked about with the contract manager and the software coordinator. They provide that software access, and each different user type has different capabilities. So sometimes, if you're not seeing the software that you think you should be seeing, you need to check with your contract manager or software coordinator. In account, say account is not reporting all software. Now, sometimes that's technical difficulties. You need to let us know. I'm going to flash up some emails at the end for your account manager. But if it's not reporting all the software, then let us know, and we can start to figure out what's going on. Along those lines, contract discrepancy. So if there are discrepancies in your contract with what you see in account versus what you purchased versus what you're seeing, especially if you're the contract manager, we can take a look and make sure that we agree with the assets that you have in there, and within the other Autodesk systems, everything's matching up. So just a weird tip, try to toggle between profile and management. It's hard to explain, but every time you go from profile to management, your software is re-queued. And so that re-queue sometimes allows a refresh of the software, and you get your accurate seats in there. So it's just something that we've seen, and so something worth giving a shot. Getting the physical media. The bottom line of this is to try and download it first. You can purchase media through the VAR now. In the past, with Subscription Center, you could do a request. Your Subscription Center, you got it sent to you anyway, actually during that time period. But at the beginning of Autodesk account a couple years ago, you could make a request. They have since taken that out, and so the best and the quickest thing to do is to download it. If you're having trouble with that, you can purchase it through us. Just contact your account manager. But that's how we have to run through the system that way. Technical difficulties. It may sound obvious, but it's an online system, so things happen like no access. The site's not fully functional. I've got an error message that came up there at the bottom. It says, we experienced technical issues And if products and services are missing from your account, try signing in again or contact us for help. So Autodesk had a period of about a month and a half where this was coming up, and people weren't reporting all the software that they actually owned, and Autodesk was trying to figure that out. So they fixed that, but it is one of those things that you kind of have to pay attention to. And welcome to the cloud. When you have online applications like this, if you don't have access, or if there's an issue on the other side, you just don't get access at that point. But Autodesk is really pretty good about working on it. Next steps for you, engage your account manager to talk about your particular situation. Sometimes we have a quick fix for you, some of the things that I talked about here. But these email addresses are for your account managers, and they'll be up at the end of the presentation also. You should also consider watching our full webinar on account. I gave a webinar most recently last March where I covered how to access the different products, how to deal with users, and different features and functions within Autodesk Account. So you go to news on our homepage, adraft.com, go to news, and then webinar recordings. It's about halfway down. It's called Autodesk Account. It's about 40 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes, but it's a little bit more in depth, and it's actually been useful to share that with some people. So, and with that, I'm going to pass things over to Mr. Mike Space. We're going to have questions at the end, if you have any for me. And Mike's going to talk about the Vault right now.
And if anybody ever has any questions about a webinar, I can always give you the link too, so you can email me at info@adraft.com. Thank you, Matt. And here is Mike talking about the collaboration tool within Vault.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks, Sherry. Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody has a great start to the new year. So we're going to talk just briefly about one of the new tools in Vault Professional. If you're running Vault Basic, talk to us about getting to Vault Professional. This doesn't exist in Vault Basic, sorry. But for a while now, anybody using Vault has always come and talked to us and discussed with us their need to collaborate with external vendors, external customers, clients, whomever that be. And we always had the conversations about exporting PDFs or DWIFs and asking for feedback, but it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't internal. It wasn't tied into the Vault Professional. And sometimes there wasn't enough detail, and if you wanted to include a lot more detail, oftentimes customers or you were asking to send native formats, but now you're getting into sharing intellectual property and worrying about things like that. And that often wasn't the best answer either. So with the 2018.1 update, now we're at 2018.2, they incorporated something now called shared views. And you can see that on my the right-hand side of my screen here. I've got a couple of shared views. So to explain what a shared view is, essentially it's a 2D or a 3D viewable file that is stored virtually on a cloud connected, and it can be accessed via really any cloud capable device. By that I mean a tablet, a pad, a laptop, desktop, or even mobile phones. There are no viewers that are required. It's embedded right into a cloud-hosted web page. And the beautiful thing about this, and these views in particular, is that there's no native data. These are stored just as a virtual visualization file, and they're temporary. They expire after a certain period of time unless you, the owner of them, extend them out. And what they're really used for is collaboration. So let me kind of show you a brief way. So when you're into Vault Professional, basically you go underneath here, and you're going to have a new Shared Views panel that ties a new functional tool in. So if I were to go in and pick one of my, like a spider lift or one of my sample files here, to create a shared view and publish it, I just right-click on it and simply say I want to share a view. It's as simple as that. I'm going to give it a new name here and say, want input on new forearm design, and I click share. Now, at this point in time, it's parsing through the assembly, look at how many parts, extracting properties, extracting some of the views and things of that nature, and then it will process and create the view and actually upload it to the cloud. So I will tell you right now that if these are being done on very large assemblies, you know, there could be a 5, 10, 15-minute wait while it processes everything. But for the most part, it's pretty quick. What you get right now is very simply a share view is complete. It's been done, and what you're going to have the ability to do here is to copy that link and email it to whomever you want to. And what they will be able to do then is actually just, they'll get their link. They can click right on that link in their browser email, or they can paste and view it right into one of their web browsers. So what we're looking at right now is I'm going up and actually going to see what this cloud application looks like. So this is the viewer that I see. Didn't have to load anything. It comes up automatically. Just like with other things here, you know, we've got the ability to orbit around and take a look. And one of the things I want you to take note of is it's a fairly high quality view here without having to download any graphic situations. We're not blinking. We're not losing capabilities and things. And some of the alternate things that we have in here, some of the abilities we have, we can actually do some simple measurements. If we've got an interesting assembly that you want to look on, we can actually do some explosions where we can take and pull the assemblies apart live. We've also got model browser that we can bring up, so I can actually click on any one of the individual components, and as I click on them, you'll see that I will zoom in on just those components. So if a user is unfamiliar with your design or your intent, they can still very quickly get to peruse and browse around this. You've also got model properties in here for each individual piece, so I can see specific area and volumes and who did it and description. This is still lacking a little bit. We can't customize what properties are shown, so I know it's been asked, well, geez, can we put material in here? Not yet, but soon, hopefully, okay? The other thing that we're looking at right now is the ability that if we were to sign in, I would have redline and annotation capabilities. And to show you that, I've actually taken and done a couple of these where I'm going to look at this notch request that came in. And what I've been doing is I've been doing some collaboration with another guy in my office here. And essentially, you know, we can see that I've got a customer requesting a notch depth change. And Matt is emailing back a reply, or basically posting a reply back that, yeah, we can make it larger, located, if you could spell the spot for a change, okay? And so what I've got is, you know, I've got my original request here that I put in and added a little red line and an annotation, okay? So as I come up, I can see my original request here, and I can see customers are requesting that we increase the notch depth. How can we safely do this? And Matt came back and said, well, we can brilliantly make the notch larger, okay? But what you're seeing is just a very simple method of collaborating back and forth without having to send native data, without having to charge a customer anything to get in, and without having to let any customers in to our virtual network or to our private network. This is all temporary. It's all non-proprietary data, and it's free to sign up, and we can take snapshots and print these out and do everything like that. So it is a beautiful start on an online collaboration, and you can see that when I'm done with something, you know, I can simply delete this or let it expire on my own accord. So would love to go into more detail, but I'm going to say contact your account manager, get a hold of us. We can come on site or do it online. We can do a cloud demonstration of a cloud collaborative session thing. So I am going to pass it over to Alex and Greg right now for a little bit of the electrical mechanical show.
Thank you, Mike. And here.
Thank you, Sherry.
This is Greg. Like they just said, we're going to show you the interoperability between AutoCAD Electrical and Inventor. I'm not going to bore you too much with a 5-minute PowerPoint. It's just a quick overview of what you're going to see Alex and I do throughout the presentation. So we're going to show you the connectivity between AutoCAD Electrical and Inventor. You're going to see that it is a dynamic link, not a handshake anymore. We actually have a dynamic link. You're also going to see how we're going to share a database between AutoCAD Electrical and Inventor. And we're going to go through the workflow. It's basically a day in the life of an electrical engineering department and a mechanical engineering department, the back and forth that goes on between both groups during the design process. And we'll have a Q&A at the end, and it'll be a Q&A on everything that we've talked about here today. So, first thing we're going to do is start out in AutoCAD Electrical. That will be me. I'm going to insert a simple motor starter coil into a drawing from a project that's already been created. After I insert my motor starter, I'm going to create what we call an EMX file. That is the file that links Inventor with AutoCAD Electrical. And inside of Electrical, I'm going to show you how to change the sync settings so you can adjust it every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anything that you want. On the Inventor side, Al will pick it up and grab that EMX file. As soon as he grabs that EMX file and links it, now the two softwares are literally talking together. He's going to place a mechanical component from the Location View tab inside of Inventor, and he's going to edit some of the electrical properties that go along with it. Back on the electrical side, you're going to see some, when Al's inside of his panel layout, you're going to see that it already has some terminals that are inserted in the panel. I have terminals on the schematic side, but you still have to link them together. So it knows that, you know, one is, it's the same component whether you're looking at the schematics or the solid that Alex is going to be using. After I link the terminals together, Alex will take it back over inside of Inventor, and he's going to actually create the connections in the routing from the harness of every single conductor that we want to link together and put on display for you. And then we're going to wrap it up back inside of AutoCAD Electrical, where I'm going to show you some connection details, specifically wire lengths, which a lot of people are asking for, which is a big important part of the dynamic link between the two softwares. So let me get out of PowerPoint, switch it over to AutoCAD Electrical. I'm going to zoom in around my connector here. And then from the catalog browser, I have an Eaton motor starter coil that I'm going to insert into my drawing. Just going to plop it onto a wire, nothing big going on here, just like you do all the time inside of AutoCAD Electrical. I'm going to put down a couple of descriptions. We're going to call it motor starter. Part number's already there because I selected it from the catalog browser. Select OK. Now back in the project manager, if a lot of you haven't, or if you haven't been using anything with Inventor and AutoCAD Electrical, you're going to notice a different tab in the project manager, and that's our location view tab. So once I expand the project, then I'm going to expand the installation and expand the location. Notice that the M6 over here that I just placed down in the drawing doesn't appear over here. So I'm just going to do a quick refresh. And after I do my refresh, you're going to see that now it does list the M6 as a component that is part of the schematics itself. Now, I want to link the project to Inventor. I'm going to go to the electromechanical tab up here and go to the electromechanical link setup. And I want to create one. So I'm going to hit the create command. And you can call this file anything you want. Usually it's related to the project that you're currently working in. I'm going to call it LL for Lunch and Learn. And just to show you that we're not fooling you with anything, I'm going to place this on a network drive that we have here set up at Adraft that myself and colleagues have access to. So I'm actually going to my P drive, which is a shared network folder. And I got a folder called Greg, Webinar, EMX Dataset, Shared EMX File. This is where I want to place that EMX file that's going to link the two softwares together. And remember I said before, as part of this link, Alex and I are actually going to share a parts database. We're going to use one. So I'll create this. It congratulates me, yippee. Close it out. And this just gives me the overall information about the link setup itself. I'm going to close this out right here. And then one last thing before I hand it over to Alex, I'm going to go back to the location view tab in my project manager. And I'm going to select the settings here. These are the sync settings. So no matter what I'm doing, and you know, Alex is working on the project at his end in Inventor, I'm working on it here. Every 15 minutes, the two softwares are going to sync. You can also have it sync, as you can see, every single time I save the drawing. Obviously, you can change this to anything that you want it. So I'll select OK here. And then before I leave the drawing, I'm going to hit the Save button. And when I hit the Save button, you're going to notice in the project manager how it's syncing right now, because like I just said, I use that setting from the project manager. Every single time I save it, it will automatically sync it. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Alex and Inventor, and you're going to see how he uses that EMX file inside of Inventor. So let me change the presenter here to Alex.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Let me show my screen. I apologize for a quick little delay in between because we're switching back and forth. So let's take a look and pick up basically where Greg just left off. And I'm gonna basically go through 3 steps here. First and foremost, I'm going to link up to that EMX file. I've already opened up the enclosure assembly that we're dealing with. And what this assembly is basically the mechanical side of what Greg is working on. So let's go over, our first step is to actually make that link. So at the top of my screen, I'm going to hit my electromechanical tab and go to my electromechanical link setup. Very similar to what Greg did. Instead of creating here, I'm actually linking to the existing electromechanical file. Now, I've done this a couple times, so I want you to note at the very top here where we are. We're up on our local network location. I'm going to grab that LL EMX file that Greg just created moments ago and open that up. So that's my first step. And this is an older assembly, so I'm just going to say OK here to basically save and update the assembly. Of course, you could have done that ahead of time. So we can see here now we've linked up to that electromechanical EMX file up on the network. So in my next step, I want to, once I've linked to this file, I want to be able to insert the same components that Greg has. So let's take a look at our location view. As you can see, that's right up here. Every time I do this, for some reason, this is annoying. My whole browser jumps over to the left or to the right, and I'm going to move it back over to the left. Now, in my location view, what we have is basically the same browser that we use in the assembly and modeling environment, and we have the ability to filter out what we want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my filter button, and I'm going to look at just the bottom 2 here. This way, this allows me to basically see almost exactly what Greg is saying on his end. So if I expand all that stuff, what I have to do next is in my next step, I have to actually use my view settings to tell Inventor where these guys belong. And the first thing I want to do is I want to insert that motor, same component that Greg got, and I'm going to insert that for my catalog browser. Okay, so now the catalog browser, before I go too far here, it'll find this automatically because we've used it a few times. But I want to show you how you configure your database. So you can see here that our primary electrical catalog database is being shared between the two of us here, and it's right up on our network. So you guys can do this the same kind of a setup. So I just wanted to show you that right there. Say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab this component, and that's the 3D version of that motor starter that Greg just inserted. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in, and then just do some Inventor stuff and constrain it into place where it belongs. So using just regular old 3D constraints, we'll go ahead and do, let's do an insert constraint between, let's say, the bottom edge of that and this hole here. We'll apply that, and then we'll get this oriented correctly by creating a angular constraint, so it's sitting in the correct position. So right there, this shows that we have the same motor in the cabinet. Now in my next step, what I need to do is to edit the electrical properties and link the components together. So if I go over to my location view, at the top here, you can see this Cat 6 right here. And what I want to do with this is go to the electrical properties. Actually, it's this one here. Go to the electrical properties and tell Inventor where this thing belongs. Okay, so we want to put that into the cabinet. So what you'll see is this coming down because it doesn't know where it belongs. So let's do that. Okay, so that brings it down into the proper location. And in my next step, I'm going to take that same Cat 6, and I want to assign this to the assembly. So by doing this, this allows me to actually show what the component is, what that 3D component is. So now we can see the two connections right there. In my next step, Greg also has this let me spin around, let me try to go slow. So this PJ6 connector over here, I want to take this guy as well, and I want to also assign this to my existing assembly. So I'll grab that guy. Give that a second to think. Let's go.
Ooh, that's not good.
That's never happened. Okay, so here's the problem that Sherry was thinking about.
We didn't want that to happen, but.
All right. Okay, let's see if we can catch up pretty quickly here. That's never happened, has it, Greg?
No.
The beauty of live demos.
Yay.
Exactly. Okay, let's see if we can catch up really quick here. And of course, I didn't save, did I?
So we're
opening, yeah, not yet. Let's open this up again. And I should be able to catch up pretty quickly here. Sorry for the delay. Okay, let's load that fully. Let's go back to that. Oh, I think we're still linked. Yeah, we're still linked. That's good. Okay, let's go to our location view again. And again, let's move that guy back over where it belongs. Filter this out really quick. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, this will be an adventure. All right, so let's grab this. Let's see what happens here. Let's insert this from the catalog browser again. All right, we'll try this one more time. Well, really, you can't say, yeah, so let's constrain that. And we'll grab that bottom edge and pop it right there.
Looks like we're good on the Cat 6, Al.
Yeah, I see that. And we'll orient it correctly. Like that. All right, and that Cat 6 is in there, but it's in the wrong location.
That's okay.
Now let's just take a look at the properties. Let me do a save real quick, just for fun. And we'll try that one more time. The issue happened at the PJ6, but this should be down here, thusly. Okay, let's try this one more time, folks. So I'm going to grab this guy here, assign that. Let's see if it works. All right, that time we got it. So that's a good thing, huh? All right, so we've got that in there. We got the connections where we want. So I'm gonna sync this and send it back over to Greg. And you can see down here I can sync by just clicking this button, and it should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead back over and put Greg back on. And I'm going to change for him to be the presenter. Okay. Yes. All right, Greg, take it away.
You got it. Okay, back inside of AutoCAD Electrical. As you can see, I've got 4 single terminals right here. I've got them inserted into my schematic. If I go back to my project manager, and the first thing I'm going to do right now is sync it, because I know Alex just did some work. So I'll sync it. And as you can see, I've got the same terminals here, and they're displaying as, yep, you've got a mechanical part, you've got an electrical part in the schematic. We need to bring those two together. So I'm going to right-click on, let's say, the mechanical component of this, and I want to assign it to the existing drawing. I'll select the TS1, and I was supposed to save it first, but even though I didn't save it, you're going to see that it's still rectified bringing those two together. So in reality, I didn't really need to save it, but you're going to get that warning anyway. So I'm going to do the same thing to 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to assign this one, go back to my project manager, right-click, assign to the drawing, pick number 3, right-click, assign to the existing drawing, number 4. So now, as far as I'm concerned, inside of my project manager, you can see that there is a direct link between the Cat 6, the M6, the terminals. Once Al does his routing on the inventor side, and I come back and sync it, you're going to see those two being rectified as far as getting rid of that red dot that you see on each one of those symbols there. So from here, I'm going to sync the project once again, just like Alex did on his location view tab. And actually, before I do this, like Alex did, if I go back to my catalog browser, when I inserted the original motor starter, as you can see here, the catalog database, this is the same one that you saw Alex display when he had his catalog browser up. So we just want to stress the fact that, this is real. We're using a shared parts database that's up on a shared folder on one of our network drives here at Adraft. So right now, back in my project manager, I'm going to sync. Obviously, I could have hit the save button as well, and it would have done the same thing. So right now, I'm going to turn it back to Inventor and Alex, and you're going to see all the nice 3D routing of a harness that can happen between the two pieces of software. So give me 2 seconds here, and I'll change the presenter once again. Back to Alex.
All right. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. Now, before I go ahead and proceed, I want you guys to notice in the location view, there are all the same terminals that Greg was just messing with. And the reason that they look like that is because I haven't synced yet. So every time there's a change, of course, you have to sync. So let's go ahead and update that, and bingo, there they go. So in our next and final step inside of Inventor, what I'm going to do is, you can already see I have a harness created, and in that harness I have some routing I've already done where I expect these wires are going to be coming from and to and so on. So I'm going to bring that information over in. First thing I'll do is activate the harness, then jump back over to my location view. And from here, I can create that electrical connection. So I'm going to go ahead and just right-click here and say Create Connection. So that's going to look for all the reference designators on Greg's side, and it's going to look for the reference designators on my side. And what it's going to do is it's going to automatically insert the wires from the different locations, the from-to locations, as specified over in Greg's schematic. And you can see the wires have now come in, and they're connected up. We'll kind of zoom in here slowly. You can see they're on the terminal strips. They're on the Cap6 connector, the PJ6, going to the different various places. So let's take these wires, and the reason we put these routes in is obviously for the wire harness. So let's go ahead, and we're going to just do a quick automatic route. And I'm just going to say I want to select all unrouted wires. Click OK. And what that's going to do, and you notice everything's resolved in here, what that's going to do is it's going to tuck the wires in to the locations. I'm going to go ahead and finish the cable and harness. And you can see, look at that, all of our wires are in. They're going from the proper locations. At any time, if you wanted to look at that information, you could always go back into the harness, and you could see all of those connections in here. Let me quickly show you that. Under wires, there's each and every wire connection showing the from-to locations. And again, all this data was pulled right out of AutoCAD Electrical. So let's get out of here. I'm going to finish that. I'll save it, as you should always do. And let's pass it back over to Greg, and he's going to show some connection details and wire lengths. That's that information, the report information. So let me make Greg the presenter.
And by the way, when he saved in Inventor, it automatically synced, just like I did on my end.
There you go, Greg. It's all yours.
So back here, inside of electrical, first thing I'm going to do, sync it. Once I sync it, just like you saw on the Inventor end, everything gets rectified. We got a little issue with PJ6. We might have to go back and check a connection or something there, but you can see the terminals, you can see the motor starter, the capacitor, all of that has been rectified. Now, besides just the physical wiring, besides the schematic wiring, some of the other, nice benefits and features that you get out of this, on my location view tab, I have this display details and connections. For you AutoCAD Electrical users out there, some of this is going to be a little bit familiar to you. And what I mean by that is I've got a details tab, I've got a connections tab. If I hit the details tab, you're going to see that the location of the cabinet and all the components that go inside of it, this is like a bill of material. As you can see, I got manufacturer, catalog, terminal strip ID, item number if I had one assigned. This is no different if you ran a report inside of AutoCAD Electrical. We want to get it to connections for this particular example. And on the connections tab, This is just like your reports inside of AutoCAD Electrical as far as a complete point-to-point wire from to report. So from here, I can right-click on any one of these tabs up here. So as an example, I'm displaying wire number. I'm telling you where it's coming from as far as the location, the component, the pin of the component, where it's coming from, and then I'm showing you where it's going to and the same information on that end. Just like we can do when we're changing the configuration of reports, you can add and delete some of these columns, let's say. So in my case, you know, I want to hit this more button because I want to make sure one of the things I want to get out of this is the wire length. My wire length is indeed turned on. You can see all the other ones that are available that you can turn on as well. So I'll pick OK here and then go back to my location view on the project manager. And now if I scroll over all the way to the right, wire length is one of the benefits, one of the most talked about, you know, needs and wants that we can get out of the interoperability. People want wire lengths, plain and simple, you know, whether it's included on a bill of material or whatever you want to do with it for the harness. Now we can pull wire lengths out with the interoperability. Now, just like we can do with reports, I can export this. If I pick export, I can go to a comma separated file. I can go to an Excel spreadsheet. I like Excel spreadsheets. I'll choose that particular one. Where do I want to put it? I'll put it in that same shared folder where we put the EMX file. Obviously, you could call this anything you wanted. You don't have to leave it as connect details, let's say. Oh, did I put it in the shared? No, I want to put it in the shared. So you can name this Excel file anything that you want it. So I'll pick save. Just like with reports inside of AutoCAD Electrical. And if I open up Windows Explorer here, and I go to that shared folder, there's the Excel spreadsheet that I just created. And as you can see here, this is everything that you were just looking at, but now it's in Excel instead of just displaying inside of AutoCAD Electrical. So that location view tab that I use specifically between the interoperability between Inventor and AutoCAD Electrical, I can also pump out a bill of material, pump out a connection report as well. Just more benefits of the interoperability between the two of them. So that is our demonstration of the interoperability between Inventor and AutoCAD Electrical. If you have questions, just like we said before, fire them up right now. If we can't answer the questions, obviously, and Sherry will probably say this in her ending speech, email us, right?
Yep.
Oh, I have to change the presenter back. I'm sorry. We're going to change that back to Matt. They're yelling at me here.
Thank you, guys. If anybody has any questions for Alex or Greg or anybody else, Mike or Matt, please let me know. I see at least one. Get to it. Sorry. Okay. Is that EXM file read-only, or how do you manage that file so that it doesn't get moved or changed?
First of all, I think you meant the EMX, right?
Sure. No, the EMX file
can't be read-only because
you have to have, you know, a secure place to put it. Otherwise, it's a database file. In a sense, it's really just a connection file. So if somebody deletes it or something like that, of course you will lose your connection.
yes.
So it's nothing special about that file. So,
Okay.
where you put it?
Make sure
Certainly put it in a, you know, secure location. Secure location.
Put it in a secure location. I don't know if I don't know if I ever heard that. Okay, I have another one. When modeling in an electrical part, how do you determine where the terminals are on that part? And does it work with the iMate?
All right, and iMate is just a predefined constraint, so sure, yeah, you could absolutely put iMates on your electrical parts, and to give any part electrical intelligence, what we do is we add pins and reference designators. That's a step that you would have to do to turn a modeled 3D part to what we can use in electrical. So really, what we see in there is the reference designator embedded into the pin itself. So that's a process that you would have to take in order to make those parts
Intelligent.
Well, in the sense, yeah, understand that they are electrical parts. Now, on the electrical side, you can actually add 3D models to the database from there.
Yeah, when we were sharing the database, for those familiar with the AutoCAD electrical parts database, there's a new column that's available for the 3D part. So
right.
Just like we have, manufacturer, catalog, user one, user two, all that, there's been another column added to the parts database for the 3D inventor part. And that's what we were sharing.
And the other thing to keep in mind is once you've turned an inventor part into a quote-unquote electrical part, it can have different values in different assemblies. So you can use the same part over and over and over in different assemblies with different information built into it, because that could be assigned at the assembly level. So you only need one. You got to step through that process once to add that pin information.
All right, let's go back and see if there's anything else. Can I make a step file in an electrical part?
You can turn any 3D model. You can download stuff from vendors' websites and so on. That's where we got this stuff, I think. Right?
Yep.
Most of this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You could take a step file and turn it into a inventor cable and harness part. Let's call it.
A lot of the manufacturers now, when you go to their website, you can not only we've always been able to download, an AutoCAD 2D DWG file. Well, most of the manufacturers, I'm never going to say all, they also have a 3D model of it. And it doesn't matter what the format is, like Alex said, you can turn it into an inventor, intelligent electrical part, no matter what the format is.
Okay, a couple more. From Mike, is the cloud server secure?
Secure is in that there's, the links and the views that are available are not readily produced if you just try to search for them. You have to have the link to it. It is all stored within Autodesk's cloud server. So from the security standpoint there, it's the same security that Autodesk 360 Drive goes with. And it is using the same engine as the A360 and A360 Drive sites use. Okay. But keeping in mind, too, that we're not looking at any proprietary data. There's no specific intelligence. There's no native format. This is essentially just like a 3D PDF, a 3D DWF file. It's a visualization file only. But if you want specific or more information, feel free to contact your account manager, and I can get you some of the Autodesk security white papers.
That's great. All right. Can I have access to A360? I assume it's Mike.
Well, the Autodesk A360 is available for anybody in the world. The way it works right now is anybody can go up and get an Autodesk A360 account. You can sign up. You get 5 gig of storage capacity. If you're on a maintenance or subscription contract, you actually get 25 gig of storage capacity. So as far as if you want to, let's say that you are using the shared views and you publish this out and send the link to somebody, They don't need an account to view the file. They can just go up and click and view the link without creating. If they want to collaborate and participate in actually annotating and redlining, that's where they could just create an account free of charge, and everybody actually gets a free capacity, and they typically would get, it would be tied in with their A360 account. It would create it for them and give them some storage capacity.
Great. I don't see any more questions right now. If you do have a question, you can type it into the dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen. In the meantime, I just want to thank everybody for spending your lunch hour with us. Also, Adraft would like to take a minute to thank you for your business and your trust in us, that we really do try to keep your best interests at heart. We do our best to keep you informed and suggest options, technology, and services that provide business value to you. If you are in need of any training, technical support, or any type of consulting or anything else here, please know that we are here and we are willing to answer all your questions and take care of you guys. You can call your account manager if you have any. If you don't know their emails, they're up here. You can always call us, or you can always email me at info@adraft.com, and I will forward them the email also. Like I said before, the website, our website, will have this recording. We also have a new YouTube page as well. It's up here under Adraft. We have some of our webinars up there, so you can check that out also. I do not see any other questions, so we just thank you guys for being here, and we hope that you liked our first Lunch and Learn webinar. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.